Raju. This is our presentation for today. So my name is Taj Jimenez. I've been teaching, in the field of education for 5 years already, and I've had experience with children in the early childhood. So that's 18 months, children of 18 months to 9 years old. So as early as 18 months, at least where I'm from, I'm based in Singapore. Children already attend school and they are able to interact with their peers, have interactions with educators and educators as well. So, what I'm about to share with you are some of the techniques and some of the things that we've discussed in our center, and it might be helpful to you as primary care teachers or as parents or maybe as just active aunts and uncles in your children's lives, so the children in your lives or in your community. So before anything else, here are the four parts of our talk today. So we're going to talk about temper tornadoes. So what are temper tantrums? We're going to talk about that. Where do they come from? How do they manifest in children? And then we're going to talk about soothing, how to soothe these big feelings that children encounter or feel, and how we can play peacemaker, and when do we know that it's time to seek external support, because as we know, even if it is a normal thing for children to experience tantrums, having it too frequently within the day is not um should not be normalized. So it's already a telltale clue if your child is having too many tantrums within the day or a lot of dysregulation within the day. That's when we should start seeking external support. So we'll talk about that later. But before anything else, children experience big feelings, right? But I'm pretty sure as an adult, you also feel big feelings as well. So can you chat in the group chat what makes you grumpy as an adult? Me personally, what makes me grumpy is when I'm hungry or when I when I miss my meal time. So if I don't have breakfast or lunch is a little bit too late, I get a little bit grumpy. I'm starting to feel irritable, all these feelings. How are you? When are you usually grumpy? What makes you grumpy? Is it, like waiting for the bus stop, or is it traffic? Is it fellow there when you're offended, when you're annoyed? Yeah, it makes you really grumpy, right? And you don't and on these instances, um are you able to make decisions that are, very quickly done, very logical decisions or very logical words? Of course you are unable to do that when you're grumpy, and that's the same thing for children. So these are some of the tantrum triggers for children. So when they're frustrated, when they're transitioning is when um they're doing one activity to another. So let's tackle this one by one. So tantrums in children widely can vary widely in terms of intensity, duration, and triggers. So here are some common types of tantrums that children, or you might have seen your children exhibit. So when someone is frustrated, when they're unable to accomplish a task, or these are usually for children who are very, very young, who are still developing their problem solving skills. So they ultimately feel that when they fail, they won't ever be able to do it again. So that's frustration. Um, Attention seeking tantrums. So when you're not paying a lot of attention to your child, they might start exhibiting some things like throwing things at you, or like starting to tap 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 on your back, and it can be a little aggressive also. They may start doing things that are hurtful to other people just to get your attention back to them. So there are also fatigue tantrums when they are tired. I'm pretty sure when you're tired as well as an adult, you also feel a little bit uncreasy and very irritable when you're overstimulated. You're also prone to having meltdowns. Also, fatigue can be caused by lack of irregular sleep. I mean, lack of sleep or irregular sleep. So if children like sleep with their parents and their parents don't really sleep at a very regular time, because usually parents like sleep at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., and when children co-sleep, they tend to sleep at the same time as their parents. But then we should also remember that that's also not that good for them, because while adults can have a complete sleep cycle by 6 hours or seven, that's not really enough for children. So they may have tantrums in the morning because um they are not yet refreshed from sleep because they're sleeping at the same time as you. So there's also hunger tantrums. When children are hunger doesn't really just mean that they're not eating. Maybe it also means that they're picky with food and you're also unable to like give in to what they actually need. So like for example, when they're picky and then as an adult, okay, then you're not going to eat instead, like these consequences that you give to children may also result to having tantrums. There are also power struggle tantrums. These are very common for children who are already able to process their own reasoning. So when they're having already a sense of independence, they may engage with power struggle with caregivers. So this is a way for them to assert their autonomy. So maybe you may say, okay, time to pack up already. And your child may say, I don't want to. These are my toys and I will pack them up whenever I want to. So it's a power struggle already. And it's our responsibility as adults not to engage in these power struggles. So transition tantrums, as I said a while ago, children often resist transition between activities, for example, breakfast at home and then suddenly going to school. I mean, there's no like ample transition and it overstimulates their brain that they're not having enough time to process what's happening around them. Like one moment they're at home and then they can be quite focused with playing maybe in the car and they don't realize they're at school already and suddenly mommy saying goodbye. Then that can cause um a big overstimulation for children because they're not understanding completely what's happening around them. So when you're not able to transition well, a child may have tantrums as well. Sensory overload, disappointment, when for example you bring them along to the grocery and then when you go to the grocery, of course, what the first thing you do is to buy things, right? But then they're disappointed that they don't get to buy things and you were not able to brief them before the trip. And then they get disappointed when it's checking out time. You may experience tantrums as well. Expression tantrums and revenge tantrums are mostly the same. So these are for children who are developing language skills, who may use tantrums as a way to express their frustration because they cannot communicate words. So these are for children who are a bit younger. Um, so it's important to note that children may not always fit neatly into just one category. And tantrums can be a combination of these factors. Um, Understanding the underlying triggers for tantrums can help parents and caregivers respond more effectively and support the child's emotional development. So, why let's find out why tantrums are happening. So first, that's just this previous slide that we just talked about. Um, we have to be aware about the triggers that cause tantrums. So dealing with tantrums can be very challenging, but following these tips can manage the situation more effectively. So as the previous slide, those are the triggers. We must identify the cause. So once we see that the child is already having some big feelings, we should start determining why it's happening. So is your child tired, hungry? Is he frustrated, overstimulated? So addressing the underlying cause can often resolve the tantrum more easily. Moreover, once you already know that your child has a certain reaction to a certain stimulus, like transitioning, like being hungry, being fatigued, then you create a prevention method already. So even prior the event, when you know it's already happening, it's going to happen, then you should try to prevent it before it happens so that the child also doesn't feel that tantrums is a normal thing for them to experience. Because if they keep on experiencing these feelings again and again, then also in their mind, they might feel that this is a regular thing. This is normal. Everyone does this, so I can do it again and again. So prevention is key. Number two, let's understand and accept our child's anger. So it's a normal part of their emotional development, and acknowledging their feelings can help them feel understood, especially for those times that they have revenge tantrums, or when they have they try to have an imbalance at home. To they try to ask for help, and they're not able to get that kind of soothing feeling from their parent or from their caregiver. They might also seek other things away from our home. So let's also when children are having tantrums, let's not also make it long for them. Sometimes if you sense a tantrum brewing already, you can offer a distraction already. You can suddenly point something interesting or engaging, like a passing car or an animal. For me personally, when children arrive at school and they would be like, I want to go home, or like, I miss my mommy, usually us educators would already tell them, okay, you miss your mommy, but now it's time for school time. And at school today, these are the things that we're going to do, and then you're going to make it sound so fun. Like, we're going to play a game in the gym room. We're going to try this experiment and play with our friends. We're going to touch something that's very new. It's a surprise. So you won't be able to experience this if you go home immediately right now. So if you stay put and just try the activities, later when mommy picks you up, you'll have something to talk about in the car. So this is already a distraction for a 3-year-old. This is a thought process that I share with my current class. So my current class is currently 3 years old, going 4. So they're already understanding the different causes and effects. So we can tell them that if you leave right now, you won't be able to experience the games that your friends will be playing. Or if you don't eat right now, later you're going to be hungry. And if you're hungry, you can't play because you don't have energy to play, because our energy comes from food. Or for example, drinking water. Drinking water can sometimes be a challenge for children because they feel like a few sips is already enough. And of course, it's a very tasking job for them because it requires to sit down and just drink. You cannot drink while walking. You cannot drink while running around. You must sit down and focus on drinking so that you're able to sip the water like productively, right? So you have to teach the children also what might happen if they don't drink water. If you don't drink water, your poop will be so dry. If it's very dry, you're going to have a hard time pushing it later. Would you like to spend a lot of time in the toilet pushing out your poop, or would you rather play inside the room with your friends? So of course, they also understand this kind of reasoning. So this reasoning out can already be a distraction for older kids. For younger kids, it could be as quick-witted as like, oh, there's a bird. Then they would be very dish. Of course, you have to be very animated so that your children also get distracted. Oh, what's that? Or like, oh, I see your watch. It could be very, very quick, provide a distraction so they don't prolong the tantrum that's already brewing. Number four, if they still push through, you can wait it out, but stay consistent in waiting it out. So once you're decided on waiting out, you should stay calm and wait for the tantrum to subside. So we should avoid reacting with anger or frustration, like this is getting annoying, stop it already. Like that's not really helpful for children, because as they are in the moment of distress already, they won't respond to your frustration the way that they would do when they have clarity of mind. So let's be patient as adults and let the storm pass. And it would, because they're tiny humans. Their energy capacity is just very small. So their tantrum should last about 15 minutes max. It shouldn't last any longer than that, because if it's lasting more than 15 minutes, it should be a thing for concern. It should be concerning, and you should start talking to your pediatrician or to your teacher already. And lastly, be prepared. So just as what we mentioned a while ago, now that you know some of the tantrum triggers and you are already starting to connect, oh, my child is reacting to a tantrum, a trigger like this, or my child, I think in the event that we're going to do later, or in the venue we're going later, my child might experience this kind of stimulation and they might have a tantrum. Then be prepared to create a safe space for your child by preparing things for them to get distracted with. Maybe have a little set of Lego, or maybe have paper and pen, so that they're already transitioning smoothly towards the next event. So nextly, yeah, so this is a sample of a child. So a child may detach from you when they feel like they're not being soothed. So it's no surprise that children can experience intense emotions, including frustration, anger, hurt, or disappointment. And sometimes it can even include you, their main caregiver or their parent. So managing these emotions is a significant task for young individuals, but it's a crucial aspect of their development. So they need to have these big feelings. So don't stop them from having big feelings. Let them experience it in in a space where it's safe, where they're acknowledged, where they're going to be guided how to self-regulate. And how best to self-regulate than to introduce them breathing techniques. So this is one of the best stellar breathing techniques in my class right now, and I just want to share it to you. This is called smelling the flower and blow the candle. So you even have a song. It goes like, okay, can you pretend you're holding a flower on your left hand, and you pretend you're holding a candle on the other hand. Let's practice it together so that you can remember it better. So first, smell the flower, blow the candle. Smell the flower, blow the candle. Now, in a large group of students, maybe just calling them out for breathing exercises won't work, especially if there are like 20 children in your class and it's so noisy. So, one technique is to play a song. So, this song goes, smell the flower and blow the candle out. And then suddenly, when the children hear the intro of the song, suddenly everything is quiet. Of course, it takes a few practices for them to react this way, but it's actually a good way for them to calm down after a session of free play, a way for them to calm down after playground time, a way for them to self-regulate themselves before you go outside school, like field trips, like okay, I know you're getting excited, but let's practice um our breathing technique so that we feel calm and composed and no one gets lost on the way out. And even as an educator or as a parent, you can also do this when you're already feeling frustrated. I also do this with my children when there's a kid that is not behaving well. You know, like in a classroom of 20 kids, one of them, I mean one or two won't be sitting down when you ask them to sit down, and it can be quite frustrating. Now don't hide these emotions from your children. You let it happen, but you catch yourself and you show them that you're an adult who can act on your big feelings and that you can use the breathing technique in front of them. You can say, okay, let's take a pause. I'm actually feeling a big feeling right now. I think I need to do some breathing. And then you do it in front of them. And you know, I did this the other day, and one of my students asked me, "Is it that you're feeling some bad mood, Miss Taj?" And I said, "Yes, I'm feeling a bad mood coming up, but I don't want to have a bad mood the whole day. I don't want to have a whole long time of bad moods. So I'm gonna breathe first, okay? You can come with me, or you can just stay still, please, for a bit. I will breathe first." And you might see that in moments of distress, they would also start doing this. They would catch themselves like, oops, this is a bad mood. Then they will just, of course, it's a bit too fast. But you can remind them, okay, slower, good job. I see that you're breathing over there. If you need help, you can come over, ask one of us teachers to help you. But if you can handle it on your own, then good job to you. That's a very big girl and big boy thing to do. Now for older children or for children who are quite distracted, or maybe you have one-on-one with with a student or a child, you can practice starfish breathing or the five finger breathing. So this includes sensorial cues so that your child is able to feel how long they're supposed to breathe in and out. So going up means breathing in. So when you can tell them that when you feel the finger going up, breathe in, going down, breathe out, up, breathing in, and so on and so forth, so that they have extra stimulus as just cues for them to follow when they're breathing. Now, aside from breathing techniques, of course, we have our affection as parents for children to lean on when they are having these big feelings. But you know, some children occasionally use physical force, such as biting, hitting, pushing, you know, and it might not just be towards an adult, it might be toward another child. Now, toddlers are curious and might not understand that biting or pulling hair hurts. Now, this does not mean that your child will grow up to be aggressive. It is just their way of expressing themselves. I mean, they don't know like the expression of how to, you know, they don't know the ways of how to tell someone that they don't like what's happening. So instead, they use physical restraint. So if they don't like someone to be too close, maybe they might push. If they don't like someone taking away their toy, they might snatch it back and just, you know, give a quick slap and run. And then it might be quite entertaining to them. But let's focus on how we should react to these impulses. So do not bite or hit or kick back. So don't show your child like, okay, you kicked someone, how does it feel to be kicked now, huh? Then you also kick them like that. Like, does that feel okay to you? I mean, it's not that's not really very logical for, I mean, it might seem logical, but then your child might start to think that it's acceptable to make someone feel the same way that happened to them. So maybe if someone kicks them, then they'll kick back. That's what they'll learn from it. So instead, make it clear that what they're doing hurts and you will not allow it. Also, talk to them. So children often go through phases of being upset or insecure and express their feelings by being aggressive. So finding out what's worrying them is the first step to being able to help. Now, children don't have much clarity when they're feeling like big feelings such as frustration, anger, envy. Now, that's what breathing techniques are for, or cooling down are for. So before you start um talking to them, bargaining, processing them through their thought of emotion, also let them cool down first and let them calm down first so um they can also have the space to welcome the processing that's going to happen. So children often go through phases of being upset or insecure, and letting them have clarity of mind will be able to help them to process it a little bit better. Lastly, show them you still love them even if they're showing this kind of behavior. So I don't really believe in like active what's that? I read this a few weeks back, active ignorance. So when your child is not doing anything good, you'll just ignore. So like if your child is like spilling everything, then you just ignore them. I will not give you attention unless you show the proper behavior. I believe that's not quite true in our times today, because children are behaving badly because they need more attention. That's when they need more attention and guidance from you. So you show them that you love them by praising good behavior and still giving them cuddles when they're not behaving well. So you can tell them, what you did was wrong, but I'm still here to give you a hug, and maybe later when you're ready to talk, we can we can discuss, or we can talk about why it's not okay to do that. So you don't have to like reject them outright, because I feel like that also makes them feel hesitant to show you their true colors, if that's the right term. So how are these emotions different? Like, do you think these emotions are different even for you? Because these are big emotions that children usually feel in different parts of the day, in different situations, different scenarios. Anger might be when you're not getting what you want. Frustrated is when you're not winning, you're not able to accomplish a task. Envious is when someone else has um envious is when someone else has something that you want. Overwhelmed is when too many things are happening. So like knowing how these emotions are different will be able to help you as an adult, to help your child know what kind of emotion they're feeling. So, supporting children in managing their intense emotions is both challenging and essential in the parenting and teaching journey. When children can recognize and handle their emotions, it paves the way for a happier and more fulfilling life for you and the child as well. So, children grapple with the same uncomfortable feelings as adults. However, they may lack the vocabulary or skills to effectively cope with these emotions. So many adults, parents, educators alike find it challenging to assist children in managing emotions while maintaining their own composure. Now, the good news is that self regulation, the ability to deal with feelings, is a skill that can be taught and acquired. So, the first thing to do is to help them identify their own emotions so that you can explain to your child that everyone is experiencing or can experience a wide range of emotions. It's not black or white, that you're happy or you're sad, and then it just fluctuates from either two. So there are some positive and others not so pleasant emotions that are available for us to feel, and feeling them without hurting yourself or anyone is our emphasis. So let's make it clear that all feelings are valid, children, even the uncomfortable ones. So when your child is feeling jealous, it's normal to feel jealous. I would also feel jealous if I saw someone having a toy that's bigger than mine. But then it's not really nice if we take it from the person without asking. So, letting them have these kinds of conversation with you will make them more articulate as well for the next situations um, that they're going to experience. So you can discuss the nature of each emotion, highlighting the feelings that feelings are transient and not permanent. Because children also feel that they're in the moment kind of people, right? So when they're feeling a certain emotion, they feel like it's been like this forever, like it's not going to change. So we have to let them, process that and let them know that um it's not permanent. What you're feeling right now is different from what you're gonna feel later, and what you feel later is different from tomorrow. And what's important is that we're able to go through these series of emotions without having a big emotion that you cannot handle. So aside from that, once they know already their emotions, you may start connecting them to different situations. So you can tell them that emotions stem from events that happen around us. Um, when we have sadness, this is because this is because of a situation like this. Like, for example, maybe you trip, you're sad because you're used to walking in a straight line and now suddenly you fell. You're not supposed to be falling anymore. Right? You feel like you should be confident in walking, but you tripped, and it's understandable to feel sad and defeated. But but there is a practice. You can practice, and you can have prevention methods as well. Like, you can look around your surroundings, or maybe you can walk a little slower, or maybe you can also let your child process it themselves by asking questions. Why do you think you tripped this time? Do you think it's because you're running too fast? Do you think it's because you're running on a pavement that's not supposed to be run on? Yeah, like, things like this. So acknowledge that children during heightened emotional responses may struggle with verbal expression and rational thinking. So keep discussion simple and age appropriate, using straightforward language and questions to uncover the events leading to their emotional state. So cause and effect. After that, Um, validate their feelings. So you can say, I can see why this would make you upset. I know that this is something you feel the need to cry on, and you can cry on my shoulder, and we can hug until you feel better. It's okay to feel angry about this. Validation assures children that their emotions actually make sense, and avoid feeling avoid immediately fixing the situation as well, because it will prevent them from fully experiencing and learning the emotion that they're going to tackle. So, from challenging situations, children might start to feel certain emotions, and when you like slap a band-aid on it immediately, when they experience those emotions outside um of your space, um they might have a challenging moment, because if you like slap a band-aid on it, once they grow up a little bigger, when they will have this, or the idea that certain emotions are good while other emotions are bad, and they shouldn't be feeling them. uh, I know, I'm sure most of us here have a friend that doesn't want to be comforted when they're angry, or I'm sure you know someone who, when they're frustrated, they don't want to talk to anyone, or when they're already struggling, they're not sharing it to anyone because they feel like that's not the way it's supposed to be. It should be all bottled up inside. So these adults are products of parenting in the past. So let's create a space for all emotions for our children. Um, and let's convey the message that every emotion is valid. There. So how are we going to play peacemaker with our children when they're having these kinds of emotions? So as mentioned a while ago, the best thing is prevention, but when it happens, we must stay calm and engage with our child in a very stern and firm way. So we want to use our attention to reinforce positive behaviors. And as soon as the child stops tantruming, we can give a specific praise like thank you, or like thank you for expressing it that way, or thank you so much for letting me talk now. And then you can redirect the situation. If the child is developmentally able to do this, you can discuss the cause and effect, labeling the emotion. If they're not ready to talk about their emotion, you can also try to give hints like, is it that you're feeling like this? Is it you're feeling like this? And if temper tantrums are starting to get aggressive, either to the child or someone else or someone else's property, we have to intervene. So this may mean moving to a timeout, discussing with your doctor or psychologist for other behavior management options. So these are some of the ways of how we can play peacemaker in the classroom and as a parent also. So let's teach breath work even before they actually need it. So when children are already able to follow instructions, that's at 18 months, actually, they're already able, even if they're not yet talking, and they're still on the way to, copying, mimicking the different sounds that they hear, they can already attempt to follow instruction and, model it also in your home so that they know that this is a normal thing. This is not a special thing for me to do only when I'm feeling bad emotions. It's something normal. So teach breath work even when your child is happy, like after doing the playground, before they go to the beach, before they sleep as a way to calm them down. So because explaining these breathing techniques is not a good is not does not have a success rate, a high success rate when they're already having a tantrum in the middle of the grocery. So teach them before it actually happens when they're still young. So practice makes perfect. Add the exercise like best to playtime. Maybe you can draw cupcakes and blow out crayon candles. So it really depends. It doesn't have to be a flower and a candle. It could be a snake breathing, like breathe, and then make a snake sound. Or it could be a teapot as well. You fill in the teapot with water, breathe in, and then pour out the water for tea. Or it could be hopping around the house like bunny. So like it you have to explain that these self-regulation techniques should be a lot of fun, and it's a good thing to do when they're feeling bad because it will help them to calm down. So how do we use it in the moment? When tough feelings come, help them come through by connecting with them. So get down to their level and connect. Try looking them in the eye or gently touching their shoulder. Name their feelings, just like what we talked a while ago. Find a quiet space, whether it's a cozy spot in their bedroom or when you're outside, maybe a corner where you can talk to them eye level, or yeah, or maybe in the car, it can be their timeout space. So it gives them a bit of privacy as well to gather themselves and calm down. So it shouldn't be a public thing all the time. I mean, if you do have um the time and space to bring them over to a private area, you may do so as well. You can also give them a comforting cuddle after you do breath work. And just as what shared a while ago, you can also model mindful breathing yourself or self-regulation techniques yourself. So when you get angry or frustrated, of course, it becomes very obvious to the child, and then catch yourself. It's a teaching moment for everyone. Explain what you're doing. I'm feeling really angry right now, or I'm upset that I did not have what I wanted, and I'm going to take a few deep breaths to calm down. So you can explain this to your child, and all children are keen observers, and when they see you using breathing to calm yourself, they'll learn that this is a good way to manage their own emotions. Now, how about in the classroom? I mean, aside from doing one by one or a little group or small group activities, you can also have a calm down corner. So this is a corner of the room. I mean, whatever your center may allow you to do in your corner, if your center allows you to be as extravagant as this one, providing a really private, safe, cozy corner where children can just be away from the noise, from all the stress outside. You can put some pillows. You can feel different emotions, so that when they're unable to talk, if they're unable to talk it out yet, you can say, okay, point out the feeling that you're experiencing. Where does it hurt? You know, other examples could be like this for older children. You can include like yoga poses to do. Actually, children love physical calming methods, such as yoga poses, especially if they have um, entertaining names, such as making a clam, or tall as a building, or like round as an apple. And also, you can put positive affirmations for children to read. I mean, before they exit the calm down corner, they can affirm themselves that they are still they're still able to be strong, brave, powerful. Even if they made a mistake, let them know that they can try again. So, just as what was mentioned at the beginning, when do we know when it's time to seek external support? So, when it is already persistent, because I saw from a video that Dr. Gabrielle Carlson, okay, let me see my notes, of Stony Brook University, she said that these are the three things that we should take a look out for when children are having tantrums. So we should be worried about tantrums when they're persistent, pervasive, and impairing. So if temper tantrums are more severe, lasting longer periods of time, and occurring multiple times per day, or occurring in a child that's older than 5 years old on a regular basis. So it's happening everywhere. It's happening at school. When you come home, it's happening. Before bedtime, it's happening. Then it's pervasive already. When it's it's impairing, when someone is already telling you that, or maybe you're hearing some things like, okay, I'm not going to invite this child because they're kind of disruptive. When they don't get, like, when they don't win a game, they get really disruptive, so I'm not going to invite them to my children's birthday party. So that's impairing already. Your child is having less and less social interactions because people in the community are already aware that they need, or they have meltdowns that last very very long, and we there's only a number of times that we can help or give them space to have. So if it's already persistent, pervasive, and impairing, then it's time to seek external support from their teacher, from their parent, if you're the teacher, from a psychologist, from their pediatrician, first and foremost. And in addition, if your child is injuring himself, holding his or her breath. Have you ever had a student that's holding their breath already when they're super angry? They're holding their breath and their face is very dark or very red already. When they're having headaches, if they're having stomach aches that are not related to um, digestion, um, definitely reach out to a pediatrician. So, parenting little children is no easy task. If you're becoming concerned about your own stress level as well, because you're already feeling frustrated about the repetition of the tantrums happening again and again, and you're uncertain how to handle it, then it's definitely time to reach out. Okay, um let's have some participation here. Do you think that tantrums should be occurring 3 times a day? Okay, let's see. I will see the different reactions. Give us a thumbs up if you agree that it's normal to have 3 times a day, or give us a clap if you feel like you disagree. Fun fact, did you know that this is an expression in Singapore? If someone is doing something that's not nice, they say hello. Hello, like so. That's why the disagree is a clap. All right, let's see. Let's see. Is it a thumbs up? Do you agree that tantrums should or that occur more than 3 times a day is normal? Is it normal for you, fellow educators and parents? Do you feel okay? I see some thumbs up. How about the others? How do you feel about this sentence? Do you agree or disagree that tantrums occur more than thrice a day? Do you feel that that's normal? Oh,
I
there's a
just
poll. Thank you
I
so
just made a
much.
poll. So all you have to do is say yes or no. There we go. Get
All
some
right.
answers coming in.
Thank you
Whoa.
so much for helping on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be easier to count this way.
Wow, that's a lot of yeses. 70%. Okay, I'll move on when there's half of it already. So we have 66 right now. When you reach the 30s, I'll share to you the answer. Is it normal or not? It's common to think, right, that it's normal because a lot of children do have tantrums.
That's almost everybody. We
Wow.
have about 64, 65, and
Mm-hmm.
we're up to 56 who have answered.
All right. I'll end it now. You may see, they can see the results, right?
I don't know the results.
Da, da, da. So if you can see, 63% or like 17 of you said yes, and 10 said no. Well, actually, did you know there's a study already about this? At Northwestern University, Feinberg School of Medicine, they published a journal on August 29 in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry that challenges the common belief that tantrums are rampant in children. Well, contrary to the notion that preschool tantrums are widespread, research actually reveals that it's not frequent, with only less than 10% of young children. That's less than 10%. So, like in 100 kids, only like 9 or 8 should be having like a lot of tantrums. So, this holds true across genders, economic backgrounds, and ethnicities. So, Dr. Lauren Wachschlag, lead author of the study, emphasizes the significance of this revelation. So, they saw that providing a measurable indicator for identifying potential issues in children introduces a new way of assessing a child if they need help. So they call this the multi-dimensional assessment of preschool disruptive behavior. It's quite long. So they offer a continuum to assess children's behavior from typical to a typical. So what is a typical tantrum? So these are a part of a typical tantrum. So the things that we mentioned a while ago. So when they're experiencing hunger, fatigue, expression, power struggle, so on and so forth. But an atypical tantrum may be one that occurs out of the blue. Like you're not able, I mean, you know your children, you know your students. And when a child suddenly acts up and it's not quite easy to pinpoint, well, and then they have a tantrum so long that they start being exhausted that they're going to sleep already. You know, they're starting to close their eyes, starting to say, I'm sleepy already. Or like they actually don't end the tantrum, but rather they fall asleep. So this is an atypical tantrum. So while any of these behaviors here on your screen may occur in some children from time to time, when atypical forms of tantrums occur regularly, they become a red flag for concern. So recognizing recurring atypical tantrums serves as a red flag already. So this approach actually contrasts with the DSM. So that's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So when a child is already at risk of having a mental disorder or having or are showing that they're lacking age specific markers, pediatricians can already start referring them to other therapists. Maybe they need help in their speech because maybe they're having a tantrum because they can't verbalize it, or maybe they need to go to a physical therapist because they're always falling, so they're always frustrated. So this is emphasized by Waxlag, the need for precise tools in early childhood to prevent mislabeling as well, and overtreatment on providing accurate assessment for um, pediatricians. So what else is linked to atypical tantrums? So children, as young as they are, may have health problems, or when they're having tantrums that they're also unable to handle, their social functioning may also be impaired, or their brain reactivity, the fastness of the way they react to situations. I mean, you already taught them how to regulate themselves. You already showed them how to label their emotions. You already provided a safe space for them, but they're still not that quick to, react to their own self. And when a child is already, for example, 9 years old, and they're still exhibiting tantrums that are of a 3 year old, sitting down on the floor, kicking, rolling around. I mean, that's not very normal for a 9 year old, right? So it shows brain activity that's not as instant as their age developmental milestone should be. So that is when you know that you should be seeking external support already from your other specialists. So to end this talk, okay, just very nicely, end this talk, I want to show you a quote for to end our talk, crying, screaming, and everything in between. So one reason why big feelings are uncomfortable for children is because they don't view these feelings as temporary. Here's the deal. Kids find big feelings tricky because they feel that when they have these emotions, it's here to stay. So it's not a passing thing. Tantrums, they're totally part of the growing up thing. So let's step in as their support crew and be the cool mentors, not act with them like your child is having a tantrum, you're also gonna have a tantrum. Let's be cool, showing them the ropes on how to handle these roller coaster emotions, teaching them the art of self-regulation when things get crazy. Not only makes them emotionally savvy, but also sets them up for a lifetime of handling whatever comes their way. So we're basically helping them become emotional superheroes so that in time when they're adults they can also share the same wisdom that we have imparted on them. Let's tackle tantrums with a big smile and a lot of resilience so that our children learn from us as well. So thank you so